Hello, fellow adventurers, and welcome to episode 2 of Tor Noob, a podcast for newer players of Star Wars: The Old Republic. I'm Jin, and I hope your day is going well. I want you to be able to log into the game and begin leveling really quickly, so today's episode is devoted to game mechanics. I'm going to suggest you view this podcast episode on YouTube because there are going to be some visual things that make more sense to see rather than me attempting to describe it in words. You can find my videos and everything else I'm doing at tornoob.com. I always make show notes for every episode for things I mentioned, links, all that good stuff. Okay, when you log into this game with your newly made character, you're going to immediately be involved in some dialogue. Hit the spacebar to skip over individual blocks of dialogue, and hit your keyboard's escape key if you want to abort the conversation and start over. Also take note of the NPC you're talking to. Chances are you'll be seeing them later in your class storyline. Once the cut scene is concluded, look around the room you're in. Hit M on your keyboard to bring up the map. You'll probably notice a doorway on that map. Close the map and view the doorway. The doorway is covered in what looks like a green force field. Once you exit this instance, the force field will glow red, signifying that you may not re-enter. Go ahead and exit the room and exit the building your character started in. Once you're outside, hit M again to view more of the area map. You'll see an indicator showing where you need to go. Now sometimes you'll need to go inside another building, and sometimes you'll need to take a taxi to a different area, so go ahead and do that. There are two major ways to get around on a planet, other than running, and those are the quick travel bind points and taxi terminals. There will be both very nearby to where you started. Find them on your map, and right-click both of them to learn the location of each. The more taxi terminals you learn, the more connected they get and the further you can travel. Also, go find the medical droid. This is where you're going to find stims, med packs, and a place to repair your armor, as well as sell the things in your inventory that you don't want. A word on the game's mail system. If your account is subscription-based, you can send armor and other items through the mail to other characters on your account, regardless of faction. The mail is sent immediately. I believe that if your account is preferred, you may receive items, but you may not send credits, and you may only send things one at a time and only after reaching level 10. If your account is free to play, you may receive items, but can send nothing at all. A quick word about stims. There are 4 major character stats, one of which is the one that is best for your character. Jedi Knights and Sith Warriors use Strength, which are the red Might stims. Jedi Consulars and Sith Inquisitors use Willpower, which are the blue Resolve stims. Smugglers and Imperial Agents use Cunning, which are the yellow Skill stims, and Troopers and Bounty Hunters use Aim, which are the green Reflex stims. For now, just stick to these recommended stims. As you learn more about the intricacies of your character's class, you might use other consumable buffing items, but these will do for now. The stim gives you a 60-minute buff to your main stat, which makes your attacks a little more powerful. The med packs will allow you to heal. You may only use one per fight, so use it if your health is low and at no other time. If you're just starting out, you won't have the in-game credits for these just now, but that's okay. Complete just a few quests and you'll have credits enough to really get going. You're going to ignore all of the vendors for now, aside from the medical droid. You will get armor, weapons, and medical items as mission rewards and loot, and they will be better than anything you could buy off of the vendors. Now, eventually or immediately, you'll be required to kill some low-level creatures, and this is the part where you learn about combat. Left-click on a creature once to select it, and use the skills on your quick bar to begin battle. If a character has a red title, they are easily aggroed. That is, they will become aggressive if you get close enough and they become aware of you. If the creature has a yellow title, then you can run right up to them and they won't hurt you unless you hurt them first by beginning battle. Creatures that are green cannot be hit at all. The skills on your quick bar can be moved around, and I suggest putting your battle skills on the left in slots 1, 2, and 3, and your non-combat skills somewhere on the right-hand side. If you accidentally remove a skill and you want to fill that slot again, hit P on your keyboard to bring up the Abilities menu. This is where you can find pets, vehicles, legacy perks, and account perks as well. Mouse over each skill to learn more about what it does. You can use either your mouse or the keyboard to activate a skill. I do recommend using the keyboard over depending on your mouse to click on the appropriate quick bar slot. I just personally find it quicker, and setting up this habit of using the keyboard now will help you at higher levels, especially if you plan on indulging in PvP or group missions later on. The default location of the quest log objectives are on the right-hand side of your screen. You can also hit L on your keyboard to bring up a more dedicated window. You'll notice after picking up a few quests that there are some missions under the heading of the planet you're on, and also others that are specific to your class. Low-level missions come in 3 major flavors. You have class missions, which I always recommend you do, planetary missions, which I also recommend you do, and nearly always occur in the same area that your class missions take you. And then there are secondary missions, missions that aren't required by a class mission or a planetary mission, but they occur alongside them in the same area. It's not difficult at all to complete all of them in the same session. There's also a type of mission called a heroic, and I tend to avoid these when I'm actively leveling a character. They require you to kill stronger opponents that are more difficult to kill. You do get good rewards out of a heroic mission, but they're best done in a group, or at least after you acquire your companion. I'll dedicate a separate episode to the companions. They are my favorite part of the game. As you travel around the newbie planet, you'll see more taxi terminals and bind points. Right-click on each of them to make getting around easier. I tend to use the planet's taxi to get around, only using the quick travel bind points when I need to log off or leave the computer for a moment. Now, if you're a subscriber, there's something very useful for you to know. Every planet has a cantina, a rest area, and if you travel there and log off, you get something called Rested XP. Logging back in shows your experience bar as purple, and with Rested XP, your XP gain goes up by a percentage. You gain more experience points and level more quickly than you would without it. Also, if you're a subscriber or preferred, you get something called Sprint at level 1. I always suggest activating this perk, as you run at a faster pace than those who don't. Free-to-play accounts gain this perk at level 10. I highly recommend you activate it. If you hit escape on your keyboard enough times, you'll see a game menu with options like Quit, Log Out, and Interface Editor. If you have some time to play with this last item, do. The Interface Editor is where you'll find additional quick bars. You can make the interface fonts and boxes larger or smaller in size, and you can arrange the interface exactly in the way that you prefer and even save the layout to use on other characters. Free-to-play accounts have a total of 2 quick bars that can be visible at once, preferred accounts get 4 bars, and subscribers get 6. If you're curious about how to most efficiently arrange your quick bars, Google the words SWTOR interface and see what comes up. You'll see quite a few tips. I'll link to a few resources in this podcast's show notes at tornoob.com, and I will also link to the page at swotor.com that explains the limits and unlocked goodies available at each account level of free-to-play, preferred, and subscription. A word about loot. You're going to see a lot of things in your inventory, seen by hitting the I key on your keyboard over time, and it's a good idea to know what you're looking at. Gray titled items are junk and are sold at a vendor for credits. White items are items that you can wield or use, but they won't be of very good quality, so compare the item with what you're currently wielding, hit C on your keyboard to bring up your character window, and see if the item is useful to you before you sell it. Green items are of average quality, and you'll see green titled items most often as mission rewards and sometimes as loot. Once in a while, you'll see a blue item which is better than green and usually has stats on it. Remember which stat correlates to your class so you can be sure you're using the bonus that benefits you most. Purple and orange titled items are very rare, but occasionally found in loot or as a quest reward. Purple and orange items are very excellent things, and if the item can be used by you, will give you awesome bonuses so you don't have to upgrade from a purple or orange item for a long while. Let's see, what else can I cram into this episode to help get you on your way? Ah, yes, commendation coins. Planetary commendations are an occasional item as loot or as a mission reward. You will not see them in your main inventory window. There's a separate tab in your inventory called Currency, and you will see how many commendations you have accumulated there, along with other alternate forms of currency that aren't plain old credits. You can have up to 100 planetary commendation coins at a time. I always choose these above the other quest rewards because there's a thing called adaptive armor that can use these. I'm not going to get into adaptive armor in this episode because I fear that I've already overwhelmed the newbie with this info. I will save that for another time. It won't really become a thing until after level 10 anyway. There's that level 10 thing again. A whole bunch of stuff becomes available then, so I'm going to be dedicating a podcast episode to that. I think I'm going to share just one more tidbit of information that will impact your character almost immediately. On your character sheet, hit C on your keyboard, you will see a vertical dial that is half blue and half red, showing your alignment. This is a silly, unimportant thing that your character has, and you can change your alignment over time with dialogue choices. If you choose light side dialogue, you get points towards the light side, and the dial goes up. If you choose dark side dialogue, you get points towards the dark side, and the dial goes down. If you're familiar with the movies, then you'll know something about the Force and how there's a light side and a dark side. The light side is the goody-goody side. Now, the dark side dialogue options tend to be the depraved, self-serving option. It doesn't matter if you're on the Republic or Imperial side of things, this is purely the way you play your character. Now, it doesn't really matter what extreme you veer towards. You can choose to make your character entirely neutral. The benefit of going one extreme or the other is that you're able to wield something called a relic, R-E-L-I-C, which you can get from a mission reward or a vendor after about level 24. I'm going to refrain from talking about the GTN right now, though that's another place to find relics. There's also a visual effect that occurs to your character due to the alignment system. You'll see no visual change to your character if you go the light side route, but if you choose dark side options, the more dark side points you get, your face begins to change, and your skin color gets weird. If you max out dark side points, you have really dark circles under your eyes, and your skin becomes very pale. In fact, with a couple of particular colors, on a Twi'lek or a Sith pureblood character, you look almost pure white in color. It's rather unsettling. Okay, I think that's going to do it for this episode. If you view this particular podcast episode on YouTube, right about now you'll be seeing links to various videos posted by other people who took the time to record the progress through the beginning planets. There are 8 total videos showing each character from levels 1 to 10, some choosing light side dialogue options and some choosing the dark side. After I upload this video, I will be making a few videos of my own showing yet more tips that I didn't get to in this episode, such as my favorite interface setup and my preferred game mechanics. All those things I set up before I ever begin gaming on a new character. My setup may look different than yours, and that's okay. This game is very adaptable to your own values and ways of playing. For now, I'll invite you to visit me at tornoob.com for episodes, show notes, helpful links, and downloads. I'm on Twitter at Tor Noob, and I'm on YouTube as Tor Noob. I'm also on Facebook as Tor Noob. It's apparently pretty easy to find me. I am Jin, and I wish you well in your adventure. And remember, you can shave a Wookiee, but would you really want to? Bye!